Okay, guys, we are recording now. Welcome to Top Bins. Myself, Josh, with Skunda and Joey on the phone once again, and today we're going to discuss an interesting topic which came to us. We want to discuss young strikers in the Premier League, and we've got a few examples, and just talk about their development really, and also kind of compare them. Um, because I was watching the Chelsea match earlier. They've knocked Luton out of the FA Cup, 3-1. Tammy Abraham got a hat trick in that match, and I was just having a conversation with Joey prior to this video about it. And well, Joey, you kick us off. Give us some views on what you
Well,
think.
I really rate Abraham at Chelsea. I think you know, he's an almost complete striker. Because he's got the height, he's got he's got the legs, he's got the pace, I think also he's got the strength as well. And I think he's only 23, and however, I feel his hat trick against Luton Town earlier this afternoon, has proved to us that he's worthy of being a big striker. Because I think didn't he get that hat trick, the perfect hat trick, didn't he?
Header, right foot, left foot,
and then right foot, left foot. Did he?
Yeah, he no.
Well,
He taps the third one in with his right foot, so he got two right foots and one header.
Should have tapped it in with
Yeah.
the left. But no, had a right foot. But for the first goal, didn't he? He created some space for himself and he whipped it into the bottom
Yeah.
right hand corner.
The first goal was his best one.
The goalkeeper positioning was a bit poor. On
But what about in general though? Because that was the Luton game.
Yes, exactly.
And
Yeah.
let's be real.
Yeah. Sorry.
Premier League quality, are they?
I feel in general he can be a powerhouse. Like he showed within his first season with Lampard in charge, when he came back from Aston Villa. In his first season under Lampard, he scored 20 goals. I mean, and I think loads of people underestimated him. Because I think, but the season before, he scored. I think he scored 20 goals for Aston Villa as well on their way up to the.
I think it's over 20.
Premier League.
Yeah. In the Championship, yeah.
Yeah, in the Championship, and I think he's the top Premiership player. And obviously, he's only 23. He's still got years on him, and I feel like
But right now, I personally feel I think he's a good player. I wouldn't say he's world class or anything yet. I think he has the capability to be. But
not yet.
But Josh, what do you think? I mean, you support Chelsea. You probably watch him every week.
Yeah, no, I've got some interesting views. I was waiting to see what you guys made of it, but yeah, I've got some interesting. Well, my view as a Chelsea fan. Obviously, I watched the Chelsea games all the way through, so I know exactly how. Well, I've got an opinion on how each player performs, how I see them, and Tammy Abraham in particular. I feel, Joey, you are bigging him up a bit too much. He's not the complete striker. He's not anywhere near to complete striker. Yes, he's got the height. He's got those. He can be a powerhouse. I do agree he can be, but there's a massive difference between he can be and he is. I know he's only 23. He has got time to develop, of course, but if you look at the Chelsea matches, and there was one today actually, a header which was near to the goal. He put wide. Yes, he scored 3 goals. 2 of them very easy to score. One of them was a decent strike, I have to admit. But I've never seen Tammy Abraham score a wonder goal, and I think you compare him to someone like Marcus Rashford at Manchester United. They're both 23 years of age, right? They both come through the academy at their clubs. Marcus Rashford has scored some wonder goals for Manchester United. Not only that, he brings so much to the team. He's pretty much a starter every single week. And if you just compare him to someone like that, I think Tammy Abraham is way below Marcus Rashford's level. Honestly, I really do. I think he's a mid-table striker, and he's not.
You can't judge like a striker. I'm sorry, Josh, to cut you in, but you can't judge a striker on the basis of wonder goals they score. I mean, you should just
Well,
judge
no,
them
but that was just one
purely
point I was
scoring
making.
goals.
Yeah, that was just one point.
Yeah,
That's not my whole argument.
I understand that.
That's
But,
not that's not my whole argument though. That was just one point. That's not my whole argument. I was sort of going to go on to say, I mentioned the chance earlier, and it's just one example of many chances that I feel Tammy Abraham misses in front of goal, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that he's missing chances that normal strikers should Premier League strikers should just tuck away, no problem at all. And from a Chelsea fan's perspective, from my perspective, I feel Tammy Abraham is not good enough to lead the line for Chelsea. He's definitely a second-rate striker. Olivier Giroud should be starting way more games than he is. I don't understand why that's not been the case. And yes, his numbers were great last season. Yeah, I don't deny that. I think Tammy Abraham last season, not so much a one-season wonder, but there's so much. There's such thing as like, a rush of blood when a new manager comes in. He's first put into the scene because second half of the last season, Tammy Abraham was a shadow of the player he was. He just started very well. I think the first half of the last season, if you look at it, that's when he was scoring his goals. The hat-trick against Wolves. The goals against Norwich early parts of the season, but I mean, Tammy Abraham, he doesn't deliver on the big occasions for me. He misses too many gilt-edged chances. I just don't rate him as much as you do, Joey, and that's from my Chelsea fans' perspective.
That's very interesting. But you were saying earlier, prior to this, you were saying he's a mid-table striker, a mid-team, a mid-table team striker, and I'm thinking, what? So are you saying that he should go back to Aston Villa then?
Well, I think Chelsea. I think, like I mentioned before, I think Tammy Abraham is not good enough to lead the line for Chelsea. Yes, he's 23. I'll refer to that again. In 3 years' time when he's 26, who knows? He could be better. But at the moment, he's not good enough to lead the line for Chelsea. Olivier Giroud to start more than him. But yeah, going to your point.
How old is Giroud now, though? Because he's fairly older now. And
no, I know, but he's got so much more quality, Skander. He's got so much more quality. He needs to start more games. I know he gets tired, and we can give him rests. But I just feel like if we're looking for someone who can score us goals and win us the game and combine with the players around him, Olivier Giroud is the answer to that. But sorry, go on back. Sorry, just to answer Joey's question quickly then. Should he go back to Aston Villa? I think it's been good for Abraham and his development to get a chance at a big club like Chelsea. So I don't sort of regret him coming back to our club because obviously he was on loan at Villa. But I just and with the start today in the FA Cup, I completely agree with that. But I just get frustrated, sometimes with Abraham. I think we could have... It's a shame Werner's on such a bad run because, if Werner was putting them away, Abraham, in my eyes, should be our third choice striker, despite how young he is. Honestly, we can't just put him in the team because he's young all the time. We can't just use that as an excuse.
Well, it's a bit funny because you mentioned Werner because obviously Lampard bought him at the summer, so obviously that is a statement. Obviously, his form may not be the best right now, but the statement from buying him in the summer obviously indicates that he obviously doesn't trust Tammy Abraham to lead the line for this season.
Mm.
I think I agree with that sort of thing. I don't think he's ready to be a striker day in day out for Chelsea at the minute.
Yeah.
Maybe a backup. But I don't know about third choice, but I think definitely as a backup.
Okay.
I just think Tammy Abraham is very... I think he's going to turn into like a Giroud, player.
He's got those attributes. He has got the height, as you say.
And I feel like he's going to... I think, give it 3 years' time and he'll be rocking it. He'll be at his peak.
Let's hope so,
2 or 3 years. I feel that.
Yeah, I'm not saying Chelsea should get rid of him or anything, but I'm just saying that, I think he is slightly overrated, to be honest. In my opinion, but let me just
maybe I overrate him. I don't know.
Do you think that's because he's English?
Other Chelsea fans. I don't know. I think other Chelsea fans are probably more on your wavelength, Josh, about Abraham. Maybe I'm just Because I'm a Man United
Possibly.
fan.
I mean, yeah, Manchester.
No.
I Sorry, yeah, I'll just refer to Joey and then I'll answer Skunder's question that he brought up a minute ago. I think comparing him to Marcus Rashford, Joey, at your club, Manchester United, I just feel Marcus Rashford's development has proven a lot more than Tammy Abraham. Like, if that makes sense, I just feel I'd rather have Rashford in my team.
But then again, we'll go on my view about Marcus Rashford in a bit.
Yeah.
But, we'll answer.
Yeah. Okay. And is he overrated because he's English? Which is the question Skunder asked. Possibly. I'll open that one to you guys. Actually, I don't know if that's the reason, but what do you guys think it might be?
Well, I personally think it definitely plays a part. I mean, last year I was complaining a bit how I think it was him and Mount. After a couple of games in the Premier League, they only played a couple of games in the Premier League, didn't even hit 10 games.
Yeah.
And they're already being called up to the England squad. And I was just like, I just couldn't understand why. I'm just like, let them play their game, I don't think playing a couple games in the Premier League and obviously dazzling a little bit warrants. Hold on, real quick, just warrants to be. Oh, okay, you played a couple of good games in the Premier League. Here's an England call-up. Like, surely you've got to do something more substantial than that.
Go on, Joey.
Yeah, no, but I think at the time, Southgate was picking players who are on form, who are in form at the moment, at that moment in time. Because I think that's his philosophy. He's picking the players that are in form at that time. And because if they're on form, they'll be firing all cylinders for not just club, but also for the country. That's what we would kind of. I think that's what the expectation was.
I don't know about that.
In his team selection. Because if you think about it, that's what he has been doing. He's been picking players who are in form and playing really good football.
But I think that's a bit. It's not the best mentality when it's like a young player just coming into the Premier League. It's sort of like overloading them. Really, some of those players, they might think they've already made it. Josh, you mentioned he sort of dropped off at the end of the first season. It's like, do you not think maybe he thought I've made it already?
Yes, no. That's a good point. Let me just I'll just refer to that point again, Skunder. So what do you? I know Abraham Mount maybe put in the team slightly prematurely, but you have to say in now, I think Mason Mount definitely has justified his place in the England team. In my opinion, I feel Mason Mount is a very good player, plays very well both for Chelsea and England. Tammy Abraham, as I've already discussed, he misses a lot of gilt-edged chances. I don't rate him as much as others do, so I think Mason Mount has justified that place. Tammy Abraham, maybe slightly prematurely got into that squad.
Yeah. I feel like they both prematurely got into the squad. I agree with you. Mason Mount probably deserves, a position in the England lineup now. But what about some other strikers? We've got some other young strikers in the Premier League. You mentioned Rashford.
So
Harvey Barnes and Calvert-Lewin.
Exactly. Those examples came to me earlier, and the interesting thing about them is they're all 23 years of age, so they've all had the a similar amount of time in professional football, it's just interesting comparing them. Let me ask you guys, who out of those four players would you rate the most? Would you have in your team right now if you can only pick one? Out of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Harvey Barnes, Marcus Rashford, and Tammy Abraham. Now I get that they're all they've all got differences about them, but just going off form, what would you like? Who would you go for?
Well, mine would be Rashford.
I think, but Rashford hasn't. For me, he hasn't been on form recently. He's okay. Yes, he has scored some winning goals, and he's got that pace. But sometimes his final ball in the final third. He needs to look for openings. Because I felt like when perfect example was against Liverpool. We were on a counter attack. He was running at the defender, and I think Cavani was in a great position for him to basically slip him in, and he just ran with the ball, and Fabinho then just squandered him out, and then the attack fiddled out, and. I thought that's a bit ball hogging. That's a bit greedy. If you were an in-form striker, and you would look for your strike partner and go, oh right, he's going to score. He could score, or if I get it to him, we could play a cheeky 1-2, and then I could be in a goal. His final, his decision making is not as good as.
So you mentioned one sort of moment. Is there a consistent theme you see with Rashford then when you watch Man United?
I think sometimes, sometimes I think in the Wolverhampton game, yes, you were lucky to get that goal, but again, there were players in better positions that he could really laid it off to. You know what I mean? He was lucky to get the goal because he only got that goal because of a deflection. If his shot didn't get that deflection, it wouldn't have gone in.
I feel like under certain managers though, that would be shaken out of him really. I think if it was under like Jurgen Klopp, or if Arsene Wenger was about any manager that won, even Lampard. I think Lampard likes players to play football and as a team. I mean, you saw that against Luton. Even with a strike. I remember it was sort of like every man for himself sort of thing. I think Tammy Abraham scored, and he instantly celebrated with Werner. It's sort of like it's a team thing. And I feel like maybe he's not really getting that at United,
It's interesting hearing you say about Rashford, Joey, because I think it just comes down to the fans' opinion, doesn't it? I mean, you watch obviously United games a lot more than I do. I watch Chelsea games more than you do. We both got different opinions on Rashford and Abraham. I think if we both praised Martinelli right now, Skunda might have something to say about that. But then I know Martinelli's younger, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. I mean, now, if you do include Martinelli into it, then I would obviously say Martinelli.
Right, okay.
As an Arsenal, not just as an Arsenal fan, but maybe there is a bias there.
What was the best one?
As the best one, I mean, again, I've watched a lot. It is a long shot, and I do think probably my bias fan is in there.
To be honest,
obviously it's
I reckon Harvey Barnes at the moment, because he come through the ranks, and I feel like I have watched him play a few games for Leicester, and at first I don't, when you have your first couple of matches and when you make your debut, you're obviously gonna make a bit of mistakes, but and you're not gonna always make that instant impact. However, but because I love the fact that Brendan Rodgers had stuck by him and putting him in the starting lineup, but he has been sublime, especially linking up with Maddison and Vardy, and coming in on playing on the wing. Either playing on
I guess the problem with some of these
left side or right side.
I guess the problem with some of these players is that some of them, like Martinelli, Calvert-Lewin, and Harvey Barnes, it's only really been like a season. A season or so that they haven't really shown that much to us yet. I mean, obviously Abraham last year as well, and but the Rashford's actually, to be fair, he's had quite a few years now in the Premier League.
Yeah, he came into the United squad quite early.
A lot more experience.
And
experience there.
I think Rashford, based on consistency, I'll pick him in my team above all the other strikers, above Calvert-Lewin.
I agree because Rashford.
Because he's probably the most consistent player.
Yeah, and going back to the point about wonder goals, like I know that wonder goals can't determine a player's career, but it's also because that when a player scores a wonder goal, it makes you realise, they can create something out of nothing. And I think in general, creating something out of nothing, Rashford just can do a lot better than the other names that we've mentioned. I mean, Tammy Abraham, as I say, he usually scores quite easy goals in my opinion. You could argue Calvert-Lewin does as well. With the team around him, he just gets the chances set up for him, and they all play to his strengths. But Marcus Rashford, in particular, I've seen him create goals out of nothing, and I think that's why I place him above.
But you can still be a good striker without having to score bangers. I mean, there's Alan Smith for Arsenal. He's just known as a poacher. Known for goals,
definitely.
And he was types. Consistent in that. There's different types of strikers. Because let's not underestimate strikers' ability being in the right place at the right time. Okay, sure, it might look like Abraham was just in the right place, right time, and that's like a natural instinct for a striker. But you look at Verner, he was like. He wasn't. Maybe it's a lack of confidence, so he wasn't running in at the last man or something. But he wasn't in those positions to get the goals. And Abraham had that instinct to know where to be.
I will just say that I have. In the right position. There were a lot of chances as well where the ball were in that Luton game, and not just that game in particular, but like there were a lot of crosses that went, along the box, and I was just thinking, there's no one there, and Abraham is the striker; he should be in those positions. So I think you're right, Skunda, but he misses as many as he scores in the right position.
Yeah, but you could. I think there was. I was watching that game as well, but there was a cross. I think it was by Verner. Was it by Verner? I think it was by Verner, and as you were saying, it went across the goal. And Abraham, it was after a corner. Wasn't it? He did a short corner, and then Verner put it in front of whipped it in front of everyone. And Abraham was coming in, and but you should have seen him reacting. He knew that he needed to be there. He needed to be there in that position.
I've just seen that too many times, though, Joey. His reaction does tell the story, but I've seen him do that too many times, and he's always thinking, he's always striving to get better. I mean, I don't question that he loves the club and he wants to perform for the club. I'm not questioning that at all. But he's not always in those positions. And for those 3 goals against Luton, you could look at it and be like, oh, he scored a hat trick. I mean, that's brilliant. Look at his goals. He's in the right place at the right time. But if you're watching the whole game, he could have scored about 7 or 8 if he was in the right position all the time, like a natural forward would be, in my opinion.
Okay.
Maybe it's a little bit harsh, but it's just from a Chelsea fan's perspective. Sorry, go on. That's fine, Joey. That's okay. No, if you have to leave us, don't worry about it. That's fine.
That's cool, man. I have to leave because.
Why don't we wrap up and see who would we choose as a striker if we had to choose one? Then I already made mine. What's your guys?
I would say.
What young striker would you guys choose?
Because of the consistency,
Rashford, you say?
Rashford, yeah.
Skunda, what did you say again?
Well, I'm sticking with my, I guess my biased viewpoint of an Arsenal player.
You're sticking Martinelli in there.
Martinelli.
Okay.
Gabriel Martinelli.
I don't doubt his capability. And the thing is with Martinelli, he's only 19, so he's got a lot of time to grow as well. But yeah, he's got sensational ability. I would personally say Rashford as well. Yeah, so I think 2 for Rashford, 1 for Martinelli. But I think we all really rate Rashford, don't we? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah.
I think,
So, go on, Joey.
Yeah. No, I feel like Calvert-Lewin, he just needs more time because he's done it like the Skander was saying earlier. He's saying like every player has their season, just whereas like so for example, Tammy Abraham had his season last season.
I feel he did, yeah.
Calvert-Lewin, he's having his season kind of like now. He's having his best form of his season. Harvey Barnes, again, he's showing his best now. Maybe.
But they've only really done it when there haven't been fans in the stadium.
Yeah, of course. Like at the end of last season, he was showing his class and his swagger. But Rashford, for me, he's been pretty kind of consistent.
He is, isn't he? Yeah, and he's developed very well.
So that's why it's like I think he scored 7 goals for United this season so far. You know,
I think it's a bit disappointing though because he's been here for a while, and whilst he has got the experience and everything, he hasn't really improved as much as I thought he would have.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's a topic for another time. We could do a video on Marcus Rashford at some point if you want. But yeah, we'll wrap it up there, guys. Yeah, thank you for your contributions to this debate.
Joey.
Yes, Joey and Skander and myself. Goodbye to you all. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.